Good day, shipmates. 'Tis high time I showed you how to tie another sailor's knot. Today's knot is a bit of an oddity. It is very similar to the reef knot, but is tied entirely differently. It is the thief knot. Now, the origins of the thief knot are unknown, but it must be very old indeed. Technically, it is a binding knot, but it really only has one very specific application. Before I tell you what that application is, I should give you some background into the culture of theft aboard warships of the sailing navy. Here is our good friend Herman Melville to discuss the peculiar kleptomania that afflicts the man-of-warsmen. From the wild life that they lead, and various other causes needless to mention, sailors, as a class, entertain the most liberal notions concerning morality and the Decalogue. Or rather, they take their own views of such matters, caring little for the theological or ethical definitions of others concerning what might be criminal or wrong. Their ideas are much swayed by circumstances. They will covertly abstract a thing from one whom they dislike, and insist upon it that, in such a case, stealing is no robbing. Or, where the theft involves something funny, as in the case of the white jacket, they only steal for the sake of the joke. But this much is to be observed nevertheless, i.e., that they never spoil the joke by returning the stolen articles. It is a good joke, for instance, and one often perpetrated on board ship, to stand talking to a man in a dark night watch, and all the while be cutting the buttons from his coat. But once off, these buttons never grow on again. There is no spontaneous vegetation in buttons. To enumerate all the minor pilferings on board a man-of-war would be endless. With some highly commendable exceptions, they rob from one another and rob back again, till, in the matter of small things, a community of goods seems almost established, and at last, as a whole, they become relatively honest, by nearly every man becoming the reverse. It is in vain that the officers, by threats of punishment, endeavor to instill more virtuous principles into their crew. So thick is the mob that not one thief in 1,000 is detected. Well, it may be true that not one thief in 1,000 is detected, but the thief knot is a very clever way of attempting to balance out this ratio. When tying up their sea bags, sailors use a thief knot, which has the bitter ends on opposite sides. If a thief unties the knot to go through the bag, he will very likely retie it with a reef knot, in which both of the bitter ends are on the same side. When the sailor comes off watch and inspects his bag, he will see that it has been opened. And now that we have that out of the way, here is how you tie a thief knot. Now, as I mentioned, a thief knot looks very similar to a reef knot, but it is tied rather differently. To tie a reef knot, take the ends of a line in either hand and simply cross right over left, and then left over right. Pull tight, and you have your reef knot. You will notice that the bitter ends are on the same side of the knot. To tie a thief knot, however, you must start with a bite in one end of your line. Then take the other bitter end and pass it through, around, and back through once again. Pull tight, and we now have a thief knot. You will notice that it looks very similar to the reef knot, except that the bitter ends are now on opposite sides of the knot. And there you have it. You now know how to secure your sea bag in a manner that allows you to detect the tampering of your more light-fingered shipmates.